So, good evening. Welcome back to another show. I'm back again tonight, 7 o'clock. And tonight I've got the lovely Holly on the chat. We haven't been together for quite a long time, but I'm glad to get her back on. And Holly, good evening to you.
Evening, John. How are you?
I'm fine, not too bad. Just work-wise has been quite busy and stuff like that sort of thing. But I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to lose 5 pounds, but it's going okay, but it's very difficult. But I've got to start again on Monday, sort of thing. So I need to lose 5 pounds on weight because I'm a bit overweight. But other than that, I'm still here. And how's Holly?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Quite quiet at the minute because I've got the summer off, so I've got a really long time off. So just watching the Euros and just chilling out, basically.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the Euros going to be exciting, sort of thing. I can't wait for that sort of thing. It's going to come on soon, and England smashes it, sort of thing. But I'd love to see it happening, but you just never know. But see how it goes. But if you like the channel, I've got 705 subscribers up to now, and if you like the video, please smash the like, subscribe if you're new. Also follow Holly on her Twitter account. And listen, I want those numbers going up as well. And Holly's just gone off. So while Holly sorts that out, we're going to talk about Newcastle season review, Holly's take on it as well, like Steve Bruce, the best game, the worst game, the best player, unsung hero. Someone's going to need to improve. And yeah, when Holly comes back, I'll be asking some questions. But in the meantime, I'm going to do the watch along on Friday against Croatia, England-Croatia. So join us for that as well. And yeah, it should be fun in games. Try and get Paul on as well if he's not busy. But just going to see how it goes. I've got quite a few people watching live. So started for Holly. And here she is.
Sorry about that. My mum needed something out of the room and she came in.
Well, that's savage. That's absolutely fine. That's no problem at all. So, I know you're having a bit of problems there in a minute, but, I've got patience for you because you're amazing. But there you go. So, Holly, we're going to talk about Newcastle's season preview and not season review. So, not preview, review. And we finished 12th in the end. And most people say we were very, very lucky to finish 12th. It's just by luck again, and I agree. And yeah, Holly, I have to ask you the question. What do you think of our season in the end? Finished 12th.
Finishing 12th was not a fair reflection of the season whatsoever. I think it's fair to say. I don't think we deserve to finish 12th, and it's quite a miracle, really, that we managed to do that. And honestly, a couple of months ago, like January kind of time, I would have literally snapped someone's right arm off for finishing 12th. That's like an amazing achievement. But overall, yes, we finished okay at the end, but you can't say that it was a good season whatsoever. I don't think it was not good enough, to be honest. I think that we were very, very lucky to escape relegation in the manner that we did. And we were also lucky that the bottom 3 teams were very, very poor. Because if some of those teams had had a little bit more fight in them, I don't think we would have finished as high up the league and we would have had it so easy. It was just lucky that Fulham, who was our main relegation rival, just weren't good enough at all. I think Steve Bruce played a very risky game. And I thought he was also very arrogant the way he came out at the end of the season. And he was like, oh, well, you just need to eat some humble pie now. We finished 12th. And I bet you at one point, even Steve Bruce thought we were nailed on for relegation. If he didn't think that, then I think he would have been deluded because I'm pretty sure everyone thought that. So not a good enough season. Ended up finishing a decent position, and we need to build on that next season now. I hope we don't sign anyone and we're in this position again. We really need to try and build on that and get higher up the league. We've set ourselves in a decent, comfortable position now. We'll get a few extra £1 million for finishing in the 12th position, which is almost mid-table. So hopefully we reinvest that money into the squad, but I just can't see it happening, unfortunately. And of course, Joe Willock as well. He was a standout man in our season, and it would be brilliant to get him back in.
Yeah, absolutely right. I can't add in more to that, Holly, because what you just said is absolutely right. I mean, you said about Steve Bruce eating humble pie, and he's just slapped on our face yet again, sort of thing. I think he needs to keep his mouth shut, and if he's going to be in charge again next season, hopefully just get on with it, basically. Do you know what I mean? To get a takeover, which I'm not going to mention so far. So, yeah, in my opinion, we didn't deserve to finish 12th. I mean, the games have been poor. People are going to say that we lost twice in the last 9 games, winning 5 of them. But at the end of the day, if you look at the 2 wins in 21, we can't forget that, can we, at all whatsoever? But out of those 2 wins in 21, we lost the last, 6 games before Graham Jones comes in. And then all of a sudden, bang, Graham Jones has come and made a difference.
He definitely has, and of course, Gareth Southgate's picked up on that as well, because now he's been selected for the England coaching team, which will be brilliant for him, and I think he does deserve it, because realistically, Steve Bruce said that Graham Jones was his appointment and he wanted to bring him in. I don't believe that. I don't think many Newcastle fans do. We all know that there was a bit of a tension between those two on the pitch, and they both had different ideas about what they wanted to do with the team. But Steve Bruce, yes, he does deserve a little bit of credit, because it's a team effort. It's not a singular thing. But Graham Jones ultimately is the man that did manage to turn things around. And when a lot of the players went against Steve Bruce, you all saw them go to Graham Jones for that advice. And I think he's done a brilliant job. And that makes me feel a little bit more confident going into the new season now that we have him as well as Bruce. Because I think if it was just Steve Bruce with the old coaching team, I don't think I would have been as confident. Whereas I think Graham Jones can help us really build something and improve next season.
Absolutely. I mean, he's come in, he's telling Steve how to play a formation, like a two-split strike sort of thing, changing the formation for like a diamond formation, and he made a difference. And look, the players responded to him when he came on the pitch. He's started some players. Steve Bruce didn't like it, and I have to agree with you, sort of thing. But I like to see Graham Jones take over if Steve Bruce does get the push until the takeover happens. And again. But, he's been my hero as well this season. He's been absolutely amazing, sort of thing. But if you look at the games we have played, I mean, what's been your best game of the season for the whole 42 games? And by the way, I haven't problems with my comments box as well, sort of. I don't know if that's coming on out in a minute. So I've got to go in and out and get it back up in a minute, so if it carries on. So, yeah. So what's been your best game of the season?
Best game of the season. Oh, okay. Was probably the 3-2 win over Southampton when we played them at St James's Park, because I thought that was a game where we showed a lot of passion as a team and we fought the full 90 minutes to end up getting that win. Of course, you've got to remember we were playing with 9 men in that game against 11 men from Southampton. And really, it was just a miracle that we managed to actually pull through. And I think that's what I was calling out for all season. A game where we just try our absolute hardest to the full 90. Because there's a lot of times where you see Newcastle kind of dropping off and they're just not playing as well as they can. They'll score a goal and then they'll sit back and we end up getting beat. And even in that game, if we ended up drawing or getting beat, I wouldn't have minded, because the passion and the fight and the hunger that we showed for the 3 points in that game was just absolutely outstanding. And I couldn't criticise anyone on the pitch during that game. So it'd have to be the 3-2 over Southampton for me.
Yeah, I have to agree as well. But there's other games I've liked as well. The Leicester game, when everyone said we're going to get absolutely mulled sort of thing. And we won by 4-2 for me. That's the best we played. And my God, we stepped up that day. We could have got more goals than 4. Do you know what I mean? I thought Callum Wilson, outstanding. I thought Federico, absolutely, again, outstanding as well. Joe Willock, amazing again. And yeah, go back to what you said about the Southampton game. I mean, I thought the first half, I thought you played absolutely fantastic. I mean, I thought Amiron ran the show that day, sort of thing, and ASM was good as well. But Jeff Hendrick let us down, but more about him later on. But about the Leicester game, when we won by 4-2, did you expect that coming?
No, Leicester's one of those sides that I always hate to play. I think you can always expect them to get beat from Leicester. I think they're kind of like an underdog team. A lot of people underestimate them, but the quality of their squad is absolutely outstanding. I think, they're definitely good enough to qualify for Champions League every year. Of course, they've won the league with a very similar side. So it just shows the talent in that team. And the fact that we managed to get a result against them was really, really good, because I don't think anyone saw it coming. And those 3 points really helped give us a lift. And then obviously we went on a bit of a run after that. So yeah, the 4-2 over Leicester was a really good game.
Yeah, definitely. I thought we played well, but the 2 goals conceded was quite poor, by the way. But De Bruyne outstanding that game as well by making a couple of good saves. But the goals conceded wasn't his fault. That's my best game of the season. But I got some comments here, by the way. Thank God, it's taking this time. I got Dunil, Eben, Holly, and John, and the same person said Leicester game was great. We were like Brazil, and I've got. I got Ryan, Chelsea fan. I mean, Let's go quickly. Hi, John Holly. We're moving inside of our £250 million transfer budget. Targets Declan Rice. Looks a done deal. And a bid for PSG Marco Verratti. And what targets are Newcastle going for this summer? What do you think is going to happen, Holly?
I think we'll be heavily reliant on loan signings. I think that's the market that we'll be targeting. Maybe 1 or 2 free transfers or very cheap players. I could see us signing maybe like a 5 million player, but not much more than that. I think we are going to have to rely on loans, which I don't mind as long as the loans are, we sign actual players that are going to benefit the squad and improve us. I don't want us to just rush, wait till the last day of the season and then sign anyone because we panic, which we've done before. I mean, there was that window where we got Lazaro, Bentaleb and Rose, and all 3 of those players were very, very poor for us. And they were, to be honest, it was worse when they were in the squad because they were just kind of taking up space that we really didn't have, and we didn't need them there because they just didn't improve the side. But loans can work out really well. Of course, we had Jetro Willems last season and then Willock this season, and they've both been phenomenal. So if you get your loan signings right, then I think we should be okay. But definitely Willock, I'd love to see us even try to go and sign him because I think we'd be absolutely crazy if we didn't at least have a go. I'm not sure Arsenal want to let him go or not, but we need to make some offer, and I hope it's not like an embarrassing offer. The 120 million, I hope Mike Ashley doesn't say, oh, he has 10, because that's what we've seen him do before, and it's honestly quite embarrassing. But I'm not convinced Willock will come back, but I'd love to see us just have a go and try and bring him back.
Yeah, definitely, and getting back before pre-season as well. But I mean, for me, I want to see early purchases as well before pre-season. Seabus come out and say he wants to get 4 players in before pre-season, and if that's the case, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see, like you said, last-minute deals as well, like panic buys, if you know what I mean. But you just mentioned about Joe Willock. It all depends on Martin Odegaard going to join Arsenal for Real Madrid, but I just can't see it now because Ancelotti likes to play that sort of thing. So, which is a shame, but I hope we do get the lad in at St James's Park if it prevails to go. So I've got Sean as well. How are you today? We're both fine. I've got Dino again. I think Stevie's got Jeff Hendrick from a hippie community. And I think if he learns some Phoebe's, and Dino said 100% Holly, do keep stashing the likes up and keep those comments come through live. Thank you very much indeed. So, I mean, we talked about the best games, and we're going to talk about player of the season. So who's been your player of the season, Holly?
Player of the season, you can probably guess. I've mentioned him a few times. Joe Willock for me, easy. He came in halfway through the season. A lot of people were disappointed when we signed him because I think a lot of people were frustrated at the fact that we were giving Arsenal's youth a chance, but we weren't giving our own youth a chance. Of course, we have Matty and Sean, who are both midfielders that never got much of a go under Bruce, but Joe Willock came in, and his first game, he made an instant impact. Of course, he scored on his debut, and I was really impressed with him. He started to drop off slightly, and I know a lot of people were just on his back straight away, like, oh, get him back out the side, he's not worth wasting time on. But I thought you could definitely see there was a player in there, and I wanted to persevere with him. And of course, he had that period where he kept coming off the bench and scoring. Then he started getting the starts, which he deserved under Bruce, and he just blossomed as a player. From joining us to leaving, he was totally like a new player, and I thought he's absolutely brilliant. Regardless of if he comes to Newcastle or not next season, he's going to go very far in this game, and I wish him all the best because he's so talented. I think he's one of the best youngsters I've seen for years.
Yeah, 100% agree there, and he'll play for England future years sort of thing as well. And I've got my review as well. My player would have been Callum Wilson half the season, Joe Willock second season, but for me, I'll say Joe Willock all day long. And I've done on my player ratings a couple weeks ago, and it should come up. I've got around here. I hope you get Willock. Fingers crossed. Arsenal's just lost out on Emi Buendia. He's bid for Aston Villa. Villa's made a £30 million club record bid, which has been accepted. I just wish you spend a player for £30 million an hour. And good luck to Villa on that one. I think Lee Goddard would be absolutely furious at that. He's an Arsenal fan. And got to as well. Joe Willock, one of the best loan signs ever made. Do you agree with that? Oh, it's got to be. That's got to be a given. Got to be a given. 100%
Definitely.
There. So, and we talked about player of the season. Who's been the disappointing player of the season, worst player of the season? I can name 4.
I know a lot of people would go for Jeff Hendrick, but for me, he's probably second most disappointing. Most disappointing for me would have to be Ryan Fraser. I think he's got off very lightly. I don't think he's got the criticism that he deserves. People just kind of seem to have forgotten about him because he hasn't really been present. He's just been in the background, so I can understand how it's happened. But we've got to remember that we brought this lad in. Yes, he was on a free, but he's on decent wages and he's still taking up a squad number. And he came in, we all thought, wow, what a good signing on a free. He'll be a brilliant partnership with Callum Wilson and he can really add something to the side, brilliant in attack and strengthen us. He came in and in my opinion, I don't think he wants to play for Newcastle and I don't think he ever has wanted to play for Newcastle since he joined us in the first place. He didn't get the game time at first, which is fair enough, but when Steve Bruce gave him the chance, he came on the pitch and he just looked like he couldn't be bothered. Like, if Steve Bruce never played him again, he just looked like, oh, well, I'm just here for the wages. I think his attitude is shocking, to be honest, and he's like a different player for Scotland as well. So it's clearly obvious to me that he's just not putting in the effort that he can and he's just being very lazy at Newcastle. I don't think he wants to be here. And to be honest, if I could get rid of him in this summer window, I would do, because I think since he's came to Newcastle, all he's done is cost us money and nothing much else, really. I'm really disappointed in him.
Totally agree 100% there. It reminds me that Ryan Fraser, it's like him being at Bournemouth where he didn't want to play a game. John Gibson, I don't know if you've heard of John Gibson on what is the race show on a Thursday night. That guy is absolutely bang on money. I mean, he's been the most disappointed of the season. I totally agree. His attitude is wrong. I totally agree. But if he doesn't book up his ideas, I'll get rid of him at the earliest possible moment. Yeah, get rid of him. Get what we can for him and bring in Joe Willock. That's what I do. But his attitude is wrong. And if he's going to play next season, he's got to prove to us and prove to himself that he's a decent player. If he don't make it Newcastle, tell us, Ryan, and then we'll just be happy getting rid of these. He didn't want to come to Newcastle because he wanted to go to the Champions League teams like Spurs at the time, Liverpool, Arsenal, but he didn't get that. We're the ones who got him for him. But he needs to fix up, and he needs to fix very quickly. For me, he's the disappointment of the player of the season. I thought Jeff Hendrick as well. I thought John Shelby, for me, I'm sorry, he ain't good enough. Joe Linton, I'm sorry, ain't good enough. And Jamal Lewis, there's potential in there. But this season, I mean, he's been at fault for so many goals as well. And I like Jamal Lewis. I mean, are you going to stick with Jamal, or are you going to give him a second season? Because I'm going to.
See, it's a hard one with Lewis. I know a lot more people are patient with him because of his age and he's quite young. But even when we signed him, I can understand why we signed him, because I think he really has potential to be a good player. But I don't know why we signed him, because I don't think he's a player that fits in this squad. He's not a very defensive left back. He's more of an attacking left back. And realistically, our defence is always getting hammered because we never have possession of the ball. So we need someone that's literally just going to focus on keeping the ball out of the net and just keeping it out of the box as far away as from a threatening position as possible. But Jamal Lewis, that's not his game, and you can't really criticise him for that, because I don't think that's ever what he's been about. And I just think, to be honest, he's not what we need in this side. I don't think he's going to progress either in the Newcastle team, and I think it would be better for both teams if he left, to be honest, and went into a side that I think would suit him more, with a better system, more free-flowing football, not as rigid of a style as we are playing. But you never know, things could change next season. We could swap things up. He could come into the side and he could be an absolute world beater. Of course, you've got to give him that chance. But at the moment, that's how I feel. I think this side just doesn't suit him at all, and the style of football we play just isn't his game.
I totally agree there again, sort of thing. I like Jamal Lewis, but I hope that we get a new manager in so he can make him a better player, sort of thing. Do you think Joe Linton's done?
Joe Linton, he gets a lot of criticism, but this season I think he's actually been okay. I think he's improved a lot from last season. I mean, last season he was horrendous. Like, every shot he took, it would be in Rose Ed or out of the ground even. He literally had no control of the ball whatsoever. But this season, yes, he's only scored 4 goals, but I think as a team player, he's been contributing a little bit more. He's had better hold-up play. I think he is improving, like, slowly but surely. But unfortunately, we need someone more, like, advanced than that. He looks like a youngster, like, in the academy, but he's not. He's of a decent age now. And I'm not sure he's ever going to hit the heights. Of course, we're never going to get the 40 million back for him. If we could get even like 20 million, I'd sell him. But at the moment, I think he's our second best striker behind Callum Wilson, because our other options, Carroll, who's been released, so we don't have him anymore, and Dwight Gale, I'm sorry, but I just think Dwight Gale is done. I think he's horrendous, and I don't think he can do any better than the Championship. I just don't think he can cut it in the Premier League. So Joe Linton, I'd be sticking with him next season if we can't get any better and we can't make any money from him.
Yeah, I mean, back on Joe Linton sort of thing, I'm not a fan of him sort of thing, but he did okay, slightly better than last season. I'll give you that sort of thing. I totally agree. But I've never seen a striker who's built like Anthony Joshua, yeah, but he punches like a fly rate. Do you know what I mean? And that's frustrating for Joe Linton. I want the guy to succeed. I really do want him to succeed, because this is going to be a big season for him, and he doesn't fix up, then surely now question needs to be asked of him sort of thing. Got some more compensate, by the way. I got a wrap off with Fiesa. Fit for his country, not for his club. Totally agree there. I've got Willock for Fiesa, definitely. I'd take it all day long. And I've got, who else I've got here? Then again, John Shelby should not be a captain. He's certainly not my captain. Definitely better season from Joe Linton and Sean Whitey. So, yeah, for me, I mean, like I said, definitely Fiesa disappointing of the season. Who's been your most improved player of the season?
Improved player, I'm going to give it to Jacob Murphy. I think Jacob Murphy's came a long way. He's still fairly young, to be honest, but I think a lot of Newcastle fans thought his time at Newcastle was kind of done. We paid a decent amount of money for him, and then a lot of people were like, well, we've never really given him that chance, like under Rafa Benitez and stuff, so we weren't really sure why we signed him, and it was looking that way under Steve Bruce, but he came back into our side this season, and I just think 9 out of 10 games he's played, he's been really, really good. And I think the fact that he's a Newcastle fan really helped him kind of have that passion that we needed to fight the relegation battle that we were in during the middle of the season. And I think just his style of play and everything, he's just been really, really good. He's been someone that has pace. He really helps us get the team forward, and he can rely on him. He's been a pretty reliable player, and I'd certainly be sticking with him in the starting lineup next season. I think Steve Bruce, he hasn't improved many players, but Jacob Murphy, I really think he has. And I think because Steve Bruce is putting trust in Jacob Murphy, whereas maybe Rafa Benitez didn't, I think that's just gave him enough kind of motivation to really put in his best efforts and blossom into the player that he is currently. And I think he can improve more next season with more game time.
Yeah, I totally agree. We need to get this guy on a new contract as well, because I think it's expired anyway at the end of the season. But they haven't done nothing about it. They're quick enough going to give Dwight Gale a new deal, but they're not quick enough giving Federico Jacob new deals, which I just cannot understand. But Holly, you're right there. I mean, going forward, defensively improved a lot. The one thing I'd like to see from him is keeping the ball a bit better. If he can do that, playing the right wing back. If he does that, we have got a player, and he has to improve 100%, and his attitude is spot on. And for me, is the best crosser of the ball at the club, no question about that. So for me, Jake Merton's improved. And yeah, I was going to say, we talked about that. Dwight Gale, I mean, he's got to be away, surely.
Well, you would think so, but obviously he's just signed that new deal, which at the time I thought was quite a smart move, because it looked like we were going to be relegated. And I think in the Championship, Dwight Gale is the perfect striker. Of course, he's been like the top goal scorer in the Championship. He's really proved himself. He is a really, really good striker in the Championship. But now that we've stayed up and we're in the Premier League, Dwight Gale, I think we'd have to loan him out at least. We don't want him on the books in the squad. He's just filling up the space. I mean, he's got to be the worst striker at Newcastle. I seen him, he come on at Sheffield United when we played them at home, the final home game of the season, and I was there. And my God, I don't think I've seen a Newcastle player play that bad for a long, long time. I think his quality isn't there. I don't think he can keep up with the pace of the Premier League. And also, it's just the style we play, we ping a lot of balls high, and he's really short, so that just doesn't work for him. I mean, they'll ping a ball like massively high, and you think, how is Dwight Gale ever going to get that? It's like they think Joe Linton or Carroll's playing, but it's not. It's Gale. He can't play that style of football. And I don't think he's got the best attitude either. I think he would have went to West Brom if he'd been given the chance. I'm surprised he even signed a new deal, but hopefully we can loan him out, because in the Premier League, I'm sorry, but he's just not good enough.
definitely not good enough. He needs to be gone. And also his body language as well, for the games I've seen, has been absolutely shocking. And I pin the blame on Bruce as well, because he's the one's putting it out there, sort of thing. And you do not put a player out if the attitude ain't right, Holly. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking if he puts on the pitch, he does not want to be there. Do you know what I mean? It's just absolutely a joke. Andy Carey could have put on as well. Do you know what I mean? But it's just getting worse and worse and worse. Our club's gone backwards, and our club's an absolute joke. I'm sorry, and Jake Murphy stood out. Don't know, I totally agree. And needs to offload Gill. His body language says he does not want to be here. Well said. I've just exactly what I've said. I've got Ryan as well from Canada. There's no confirmation of Gill of extending, and also his contract expires at the end of the month. I just hope he does not sign a new deal. If he signs that new deal, I tell you what, I'm done. Absolutely done. The club's gone backwards. Then you must just give Joe Linton a new extended contract as well, because we're not going nowhere. But it is for what it is. But so on to Steve Bruce. I mean, well, what can I say about this guy? I mean, if he's giving marks out of 10, how many would you give him?
5. 5 out of 10. I think maybe a lot of people probably think that's quite generous, but I think, listen, of course, I wanted Steve Bruce to do well, because if he does well, Newcastle does well. And he does deserve a little bit of praise, because he did manage to turn it around. Of course, Dunhill doesn't agree, clearly. But don't get me wrong, at the start of the season, it would have been a -10. But he caused a lot of problems in that side. He fell out with a lot of players, and there was a lot of disjointment. The dressing room was absolutely in tatters, and no one was getting along. But he managed to put his wrongs right, sort of thing. He apologised. He was the bigger man, and he put players back into the team that he clearly didn't like, who ended up turning the season around. So he fixed his wrongdoing, to be honest, and he's managed to keep us up and in a good position, as well as bring the likes of Sean Longstaff, Matt Richie back into the side, which he stopped that silly act that he had where he was being so stubborn, and he just thought, listen, I'm going to do what's best for the team for once. So I'd have to give him a 5 out of 10 for that. I couldn't give him any lower, but I do still think I think he should leave. I think if he left now, he'd leave with a little bit of respect, because he's kept us up in 12th, and fair enough. But I really do think he needs to go, because realistically, we'll go into the new season and it'll be the exact same again. We'll be in a relegation battle, and the fans won't be on his side. So I think for the best interest of him, he'll need to go, but he won't really, will he? But it's just a shame.
I'll give him a 3. And the reason I give him a 3 is because that there's moments, the last 9 games it did fine. 5 wins from 9, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But other times, the 2 wins from 22. And the last 6 games were defeats. And his tactics as well needs to be questioned as well. So, and the style of play in most of the games has been absolutely shocking. Look at the games we got beat off Brentford in the Cup. We had a massive opportunity to play our strongest team. Had a real go to get to the semi-finals. I really believe we're being beat Tottenham to get to the final. And also as well, the Brighton game away was absolutely appalling. We should have gone after that game. And the Sheffield United game, we did not lay a glove on them at all. And the teams I mentioned, we did not lay a glove on them at all whatsoever, sort of thing. And for me, and when Graham Jones came in, right, it made a huge difference, because he sorted out the tactics as well. I don't care what anyone say, Graham Jones made a difference. For me, he's an unsung hero for Newcastle, and that's why I'm giving Bruce a 3. One thing I will say about him as well, if he's going to be there next season, if there's no takeover, I guarantee he's going to be here. For me, I want to see big changes. I want to see new formation. I want to see new tactics as well. I want to see big change. Just show us something different. And Holly, I don't think he's going to show us anything different. Don't you think?
No, he won't. Of course, we've said this since he joined us. He's a dinosaur manager. He's stuck in his ways and he won't change. He hasn't changed for the 20-odd years or whatever that he's been in management, so he certainly won't change now. The one thing that I'd really be grateful if he did was sort out the way he speaks in his press conferences, because across the season he's constantly embarrassed Newcastle as a club and Newcastle fans. representing us and being like an ambassador, so to speak, of our club. And he just makes us into an absolute mockery in the media. It's so embarrassing. And the fans get on his side a little bit. They start giving some praise. And then he'll come out the next week and start slagging the fans off on TalkSport. He's just been an absolute nightmare online. I don't even think he should be allowed to talk to the media. I think he should have like Graham Jones or someone else doing it for him, because the guy is just clueless. And he's admitted it himself. He said he doesn't have a good vocabulary and stuff. And if that's the case, Bruce, please just shut up and don't answer questions that you know are going to get you into trouble, like he did on TalkSport. That would be my biggest bit of advice for him. But to be honest, though, yes, of course, I want to see changes to the formation, stuff like that. But as long as we stay up next season, I will be happy while this takeover just rolls on. We just need to worry about safety. We don't need to really have ambitions bigger than that at the moment, because realistically, we're all waiting for the green light on the takeover, and what we do until then doesn't really make much of a difference. As long as we stay up, I'd be happy.
Yeah, well said, Holly. I have to agree with you 100% there. I'll come to the comments in a minute. I've got Gail, Sherry, Fraser, Hendrick to start with her Ridley, Joe Linton as well. That's from Terry. And Ryan as well. If I just, it's a bit slower to do these comment sections. Striker, left by right back, and midfielder, our top priority. We could do the defence as well. We could see the 62 goals this season. That is alarming. And I've got Dylan Upton and form down to one man, and that's Graham Jones. And so I'd just say get rid of, for me, that's Terry. Terry, hope you're okay, mate. I agree with you there, Ryan. And if I just go on here as well, Brighton games, worst 2 games of the season, totally agree. And coming for Andrew, got to say Holly's a babe. And I don't know, I was surprised Bruce did not even learn anything from Sir Alex. I totally agree. You would have thought so, but obviously you didn't. And then you got really think we should have kept Carroll. We don't know if he's a leader in the dressing room. Andrew, I would have kept him. I would not have got him in the first place. Let's be real about it. That was a publicity stunt. Sorry about that. PR is our business strength, and great thanks for Terry. Good stuff. Yeah, absolutely agree. Go on to the press conference as well. Also, I'll do the press conference reaction most weeks, reviews and whatever that sort of thing. But the things he's coming out and say, like he said the great Rafa, then he had a dig at Lee Ryder, he had a go at Craig Hope as well. I mean, he got Craig Hope banned. Craig Hope, when he did that conference on that Matt Richie dressing room bust up between Bruce and Richie sort of thing, Craig Hope broke the story. I think he's absolutely correct. Steve Bruce admitted, he said that he's right. But Steve Bruce was absolutely peed off when he heard that. I mean, do you think Steve Bruce is right to have a go at Craig Hope? Because I don't think so.
No, not at all. I think Craig Hope is a journalist like any other journalist. He wants to do his job. He got a story from a source. The source was correct, and the story that he published was correct. It wasn't a story that painted Bruce in a good light. So, of course, naturally, Steve Bruce is going to be annoyed that that story got out there into the public domain. But ultimately, how can you criticise a man for doing a job that he's paid to do? I don't understand it. It's not really him that he should be having a go at. If he didn't want stories like this to come out in the media, one, he should prevent them from happening in the first place. He shouldn't be arguing with his team, and he shouldn't be like squaring up to players and stuff, because that's just embarrassing. I mean, the guy's 60 years old. Like, he really needs to act his age. And also he needs to sort out who this mole is in the dressing room. That's what he needs to be sorting out, because obviously his close mates aren't as loyal to him as he thinks. They are spreading stories to the media, and that's what he needs to be sorting out, not the fact that Craig Hope is doing his job. I think Craig Hope is one of the most passionate journalists in Newcastle. I think he'll always, if there's something not right and he sees something not right, he'll fight against that, he'll challenge it. And unfortunately, he's in the minority with that. There's a lot of journalists that don't really have a backbone, so to speak. They won't actually challenge anyone. And then Steve Bruce banned him from the press conferences, which I think is just a joke. Like, banning a guy from a press conference because he has a difference in opinion, that is so immature. Like, it's going to be a very one-sided media and outlook on the club, and that's just not really healthy. So I don't think he should have been allowed to get away with that, and I hope that he allows him back in next season, because Craig Hope is a good journalist.
Holly, he's my journalist. He's my journalist. Do you know what I mean? My journalist. For me, I think he's best of the bunch. Do you know what I mean? He says how it is. He's, like you said, he's passionate. All the things he said, I can't add anything to that at the end of the day. But you're right, Steve is not doing himself any favours at all whatsoever, because he's going to look like a complete and utter lemon. He needs to come out, let the press pack interviews finish off their question before butting in, because he talks over them, and that's what I hate, talking over people when people ask the questions. It's wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's wrong. But I just hope that he books up his idea sort of thing and changes ways. Otherwise, next season, when the fans are back, if we don't get off to a good start, he's going to get the rounds to the kitchen. Let's be real about it. But I've got a confident Andrew Waters as well. Again, Rangers fan as well. Holly John, where in your opinion, do you think 2 will finish next year? I reckon we hate saying this, but I genuinely see us relegated worse than this season. What do you make of that? Do you think Andy is right? Or do you think he's been a bit slightly on the negative side? But I can see where he's coming from.
I can see where he's coming from. I think most of us feel as though we're going to be relegated every year, and no doubt about it, we will be in a relegation battle at some point throughout the season, but I don't think we'll go down. I think if we were ever to go down, the season that's just finished would have been the year, because we were absolutely horrendous. And we managed to stay up and in 12th as well. So I don't think there's a threat of relegation next year massively. I think we'll probably finish between 12th and 15th place. And I don't think, even if we don't sign anyone, I think we'll be okay. I think the promoted teams probably won't spend a great deal, and they'll probably 3 of the teams that might go back down. And I just think there's a lot worse teams in Newcastle. I mean, I know it's hard to believe because we are shocking and we play so bad, but there's some teams that just don't have that quality whatsoever. And we're quite lucky that we do have some decent players. You've got your St. Maximin, your Almiron, your Wilson, Dubravka, and they're all pretty good players. And the defence is decent as well. So I think we should be okay. But hopefully we strengthen in midfield, because my God, the midfield has been atrocious.
Yeah, take Willock away. You're right. Midfield's been atrocious. Our defence aren't that great either, that sort of thing. A lot of people have not been said about the goals conceded. I said 62 goals conceded. It could have been 90. It hadn't been for our goalkeepers as well. But you're absolutely right again. And yeah, totally agree. And for me, I'll be very worried as well going into the season. I'll come to ASM in a bit, because he's been very, very vocal, and I'll need to speak about him in a minute. So I've got Kiraf Beans as well, and welcome to me chat. Kiraf, do you please do subscribe to my channel if you've already done it. So what you always got to remember is Bruce's voice and opinion on Newcastle, whereas he was at Sunderland. But when the main role of manager is to be unbiased, no matter if the club is good or bad. I don't know what you take of that one is.
I think he's probably referring to when he was at Sunderland, and I think he said that he didn't ever want to manage Newcastle. Like, that wasn't one of his dreams. So I'm sure that's maybe what he's referring to, which of course isn't what you want to hear from, a former Sunderland manager, and that's now managing your club. We all remember the 5-1 derby that we won when we absolutely smashed Sunderland on Halloween, and we were all singing "Cheer Up, Steve Bruce." And then you would never imagine that, like 10 years later, he'd be at our club. I think it just shows the decline and the regression of the club, which is really, really sad. But Steve Bruce, I'm not his biggest fan. I never wanted him to come to the club. I don't think he's a Newcastle fan. I think he's a Manchester United fan. And I think he probably does have a bit of a soft spot for Sunderland, because he did do all right with them and he never speaks badly of them. And that's fair enough, because they were his employers and whatever else. But to be honest, I just think that I wanted him to do well, because like I said before, if he does well, then Newcastle does well, and I wished him the best of luck. I still hope he does well next season, but I think we all know that he's not a Geordie at heart.
Definitely not. I never wanted him in the club. I mean, I've always said that I wanted, and I said this many a time in the chat, and you must have heard it as well, I wanted Steve Bruce out before he even came in, right? And the moment his name was mentioned, my heart absolutely sank. And you know what? I was speechless for a couple of days that he's going to come anywhere, but absolutely gutted. Other managers they could have got sort of thing as well. Do you know, I would have took a young manager to have a go. I would have even took Steve Cooper from Swansea, by the way, rather than this one we've got here sort of thing. But you're right. He should never come to Newcastle. And after he said he didn't want to manage Newcastle on the stream, but you know, what do we know, Holly? What do we know? And yeah, I want to touch on to ASM. Now, you must have seen it, right, on social media. Has come out and he said that he wants to see the club's ambition rising. He does not want to be playing relegation football every single season. Yeah, so he's telling the club, challenging the club, and saying, "Look, get Joe Willock in. We need this guy in." So he's basically telling Newcastle to buy him. Do you know what I mean? And also as well, he's all Geordie. You're talking a French player to come out being vocal, right? Now, how do you think Ashley and Charlie react to that sort of thing? Because he's coming out now saying these things, which he's quite right, and I'm calling for that. Come and say that. Show us ambition. Give the fans what we want. Do you think ASM is right?
Of course he's right. I don't think the club will listen to him because they never do listen to anyone apart from themselves. Like, they don't care what the players, the manager, the fans think. They're just not bothered. As long as they're okay and they're making money, then they're happy. But I don't think that Mike Ashley really is in a place at the moment where he will be investing in the side and trying to improve the side because he wants rid of the club, and he's trying to do that. And we're currently in the middle of like an arbitration takeover process. So Mike Ashley's heart really isn't in it anymore. Not that it ever has been, but especially at the moment, he's just done. Like, as far as he's concerned, I think Newcastle's just out of his mind. I don't think he wants to have anything to do with it anymore. And I can't blame him for that. I think it's the right time for him to move on and everything. But you'd love to see us bring Joe Willock in and be ambitious. And I think for St. Maximin, because a footballer's career is so short, he can't sit around and wait for what might happen with the takeover, what might not happen. He just needs to think about, listen, if something doesn't happen soon, I haven't got that long to be playing, and I can hit heights that are much higher than anything I'd get at Newcastle. So he'll be starting to look elsewhere and think I can improve. And I think that we probably won't. We're not going to be ambitious. Listen, we haven't been ambitious for my entire lifetime. Mike Ashley bought the club when I was like just a little kid. And ever since then, we've never shown ambition. It's not a word that you'd really associate with Newcastle. And I think that he'll probably, like the fans, be waiting to see what happens with the takeover. And if nothing changes by January, I think he'll be asking to have a transfer request, and he'll be asking to move on in the January window. And we've got to try our best to keep him. But if he wants to go, ultimately, you'd have to let him go. And I think I would wish him the best of luck, because he's been brilliant for the club. He's been honest with the fans, and he can do better than Newcastle, which is awful to say, but it's the truth. And I wouldn't blame him whatsoever. But I can't see him sticking around under an Ashley regime if this continues for a few more years.
What about the best league in the world, Roma? Do you think he'd be off to Roma?
I'm not sure where St. Maximin would go. To be honest, I think he'd quite like to stay in the Premier League, and I think that he could make it in for like a Champions League kind of top 4, top 6 side. I could honestly see like an Arsenal, a Chelsea, someone like that signing him, and I think maybe not. He might not go to Arsenal, because let's face it, Arsenal isn't really doing that great right now. But I think he'd probably go to another English side, and I think they'd definitely snap him up. But I don't think he'd go abroad yet. Maybe he would. You never know. But I think he could definitely make it in the Premier League, and I think that's every player's dream, because it's obviously known as the best league in the world. I'm not sure I agree with that, but you know.
Yeah. Wow. Fair enough. I mean, end of the day, sort of thing. If I was the chairman or whoever, sort of thing, I would not say send him to another English club. I mean, I sent him to Roma, not to another English club. It's as simple as that. I mean, I couldn't do that, because for me, Roma's a massive club, and if Jose gets it right this season, it's stuck high in Italy. If he gets it right, he'll be a hero for Roma. I can tell you that. So we'll see what happens, sort of thing, on ASM, whether we go to Roma, Arsenal, even Chelsea, whatever sort of thing. But you're right, you're not hang about at Newcastle United. No chance. And I've got some more comments, by the way. Sorry, don't want them here. Richie just walk, in my opinion. Tell us totally agree with you. Shouldn't have been in the first place. Samia, welcome to be chat, mate. Please do subscribe if you've already not done that. In my opinion, we are very lucky to be in the Prem. Alan, Graham, and Joe CF does. Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. And that was about Brucey, by the way, not ASM. Hope Maxi stay. I hope he does as well. But time will tell. I've got G. Will and John Ladd. Thanks so much indeed. I've got Sammy again. I believe Mike Ashley would get a massive payment from the Premier League and will not sell the club. I also believe PIF are not interested anymore, i.e. dead in the water sort of thing. If it's dead in the water, please tell us. You know what I mean? And then we just move on. I've got Amuruda, thoughts on Brandia, Jordan Filler. I think that's a cracking signing. He's a damn good player. For me, he's the best player in the Championship, in my opinion. And yeah, what a player. Also, fans, and especially Gunnar will be kicking themselves, I'm telling you, because they've been watching this guy for months. And I got this Lucas live. Hi, how are you? Big up to you, my guy. And also, I'm upset Brendan's gone to Villa, and he's an Arsenal fan. And I've also got Jess, Well and Holly too. Big up all the Julie lasses, Ken Nutty. I'd love to get Ken on the chat as well. I'd love to at some stage. So, yeah, you're back on ASM. I totally agree with you, sort of thing. Hang up boots. But going back quickly on the takeover, I mean, the arbitration's up and running. Is it next week, next Friday? And
I think so. Honestly, you get lost with all the dates because they just change everything all the time. Because I know the Premier League had an extension. I think they're just going to play games and delay it as late as possible.
Well, I hope not, because at the end of the day, right, not being funny, it's going to come to a stage I was going to say, no, we need to get this running sort of thing. Because the Premier League, in my opinion, I've lost. That's why they're delaying it. It's going to come to a point saying, right, you know what? Let's get the show on the road. You know what I mean? And they won't do it. The Premier League are a disgrace. And we won. We won that. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm not confident. I got John, best player in the Championship. Let me get on to Adam Armstrong and Becky G. Bet there's something to say. Yeah, you could be right. But for me, it's him. You got Ivan Toney on top of that as well because he's a goal scorer. And we're turning into Newcastle, but also a bigger club and this sort of thing as well. But yeah, so I don't know if I'll see who's been your unsung hero this season. At the whole club, the unsung hero.
The whole club, like players and coaches and everything, or just players?
Coaches, managers, and anything can go.
Off the pitch, I'd definitely go with Graham Jones, like you've mentioned, because I think that's the time at the season where we saw a massive turnaround in form. And I think if Graham Jones didn't come in, we probably would have went down because he came in with fresh ideas and he changed things up, whereas Steve Bruce was stuck in his old stubborn ways. He wasn't changing things, and the way he was playing wasn't working. So ultimately, the only way for us was down. Graham Jones came in, restored the faith in the dressing room. He acted as a bit of like a more authority figure for the players that no longer had respect for Steve Bruce. He got a lot more people back on side after everyone was just against each other. There was absolute wars on at one point. I think everyone had kind of fell out at one point in the season, and he managed to sort that out. And he just really changed up our style. It took a little bit of a dip when we got a few injuries because he was playing with that like diamond formation with the 4-3-3, and then he couldn't play that anymore when we got injuries. But I still think eventually he managed to turn it around and get a new system that worked. And of course, it's proved how good he is. Like I mentioned earlier on, he's now coaching with Gareth Southgate at England, which he definitely deserves. And I think he's a brilliant, brilliant person that the club's managed to bring in. I think we're quite lucky to have gotten him. On the pitch, I'd give it to Matt Richie. I think Matt Ritchie's been an unsung hero ever since he joined the club. I don't think he gets the recognition that a lot of players get because he kind of goes unnoticed. He's not really like a standout player. Let's face it, he's a pretty bang average player. But it's not actually what he does with the ball. It's just what he does on the pitch in terms of his captain type of qualities. He tells players when we're not up to scratch. He'll say, listen, this isn't good enough, try better. And he'll sort out the defence, he'll sort out the attack. He's just telling everyone what they need to do and how to improve the game. And he doesn't settle for mediocrity like most of the other team do. So I think it's got to be Matt Ritchie. And it's just so lucky that Bruce sorted out his differences with him and brought him back in, because I think he, on the pitch, made a big difference in us staying up as well. And if he played the full season, I think he probably would have been up there with player of the season for Newcastle, and hopefully he does stay for us because I know he's running out of contract and he's getting on a bit now. His age is going up, but I'd love to see him like on the coaching team or something at Newcastle as well after he's retired, because I think he could really make it. But I could see him going into management because he's really got that mentality about him.
I think he's a leader. He's my captain as well. He should be captain material, him sort of thing, not John Joe Shelby. He's been very disappointed this season. John Joe really has, and I'd get him soared. But back on Matt, I think he's been absolutely fantastic since he came back. We missed his leadership. We missed his qualities, kicking the backside as well. Listen, at the end of the day, if he talks on the pitch, that'll do for me. I've got more comments as well flying in. Terry says, Cats, apparently next Friday, arbitration supposed to be early July, I believe. And Willock is the only one thing. Jeez. Jez, I got Samir. I agree. Graham Jones has been excellent. He's my unsung hero, but I couldn't be Mal because without him, Newcastle would have been out. Samir, always like Matt. He speaks up for the club. And jeez, He's getting on. He's 4 years younger. He's 31. Is he 31? He's 31-year-old, isn't he, Matt?
But for a footballer, it's not the youngest age. I mean, like I said before, footballers have a really short career, which is unfortunate. But I think, to be honest, I could see him being one of those players that does play on to an older age, maybe in the Championship or the Scottish League. I think he'd do quite well.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think he'd do brilliant, man. He'd be absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about the Euros as well. And we talked about England's chances of winning. And if you tell us who do you think is going to win, what are England's chances, and yeah, what's going to happen?
Of course, being an England fan, I'd like to say that England will win. I don't think they will win, though, unfortunately. I think France is probably the best side in the Euros. I think they're absolutely excellent. I've been watching some of their football, and the players that they have and everything, they're just really, really good. Of course, Portugal's quite a good side as well. I think they'll definitely be in with a chance. England, I think we'll do quite well. I think we'll get quite far onto the competition, but I just think it'll come to the final cut and we'll start to drop off a little bit. I think that we could have probably brought better players than we have. I don't think Gareth Southgate has picked the strongest side. I know some people are big fans of Gareth Southgate for everything that he did in the World Cup in 2018, but for me, I'm just not a fan of him. I think he's quite biased. I think there's better players he could bring, but he won't play them because of the clubs that they play at, etc., etc. I mean, for example, in goal, I think that Carl Darlow would have been a brilliant person to bring to the Euros. Of course, we've got Jordan Pickford as our number one, which he's a joke. He's really, really bad. I know people's going to say I'm biased because I'm a Newcastle fan, but I really don't rate Jordan Pickford. I just think he's pretty rubbish. Like, I don't understand why he's got that number one shirt. I think it's far too big of a privilege for him. I think Darlow would have been better. It's unfortunate that he didn't get a full season. Maybe if he got a full season, he would have been in with a chance. But I just think there's some younger players as well he could have brought. Of course, he's brought Henderson. And yes, he is the captain, and I don't mind Jordan Henderson, but he won't actually be fit for the first game. So I'm not sure why you bring a player that isn't fit. I just think he could have picked a better squad, and we probably could have done better. But I think we'll have a good run, definitely. And there's a few players in there that I'll be looking out for.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Jordan Pickford ain't all that. I'm not going to lie. I mean, he does make mistakes as well, by the way. Good shots up that, but I just can't trust him at the minute, sort of thing. And Everton fans might think different, but I just don't trust him as well as a goalkeeper. Carl Darlow should have never had a chance. I think he should have been in on the form he's been at this season. But again, and it's just Terry's totally agree with Terry. Oh, go back to G12. Excuse me. Excuse me. France has Kante. Everyone else might as well go home. And I got Terry. Southgate's always said he would pick players on form, but don't think he did. You got players like McGrath and Henderson, both injured, sort of thing. Incredible. Not being funny, but can you see Italy picking players that are not fit? Definitely not. I mean, Sammy said, I think Italy will do. I hope England will do well. However, our grassroots football and youth system is one of the worst in Europe. I said, for me, I think Italy will win it. I think France will be close, but I say Italy will win it because the way they're playing in a minute. And Roberto Mancini, former Man City manager, has been outstanding. They play a 4-3-3 system, Immobile up front, and you got Berardi and Insigne alongside him as well. Locatelli, watch out for him for small 10 o'clock or Sassuolo. He'll be on the move. Manchester City is after him as well, and they lost their manager. He's gone to Shakhtar Donetsk. But yeah, so he said France as well will come close.
Yeah, I think they probably will because I think, yes, they've got standout players that they're heavily reliant on, but I think overall France plays some really, really good stuff. Italy, yes, I did kind of Italy slip my mind a bit. Of course, Italy's really, really good, but I think France could win it. Like, I wouldn't put money on it, but I do think they could. I think they've got the quality to. And also, just back on Gareth Southgate, we've got to remember as well, he brought 4 right backs in that squad. Why on earth would you bring 4 right backs? It's just madness. 4 strikers, yeah, but 4 right backs, I really don't know why you'd do that. And Kyle Walker as well, I wouldn't have brought him. I don't see what Kyle Walker brings to the club, and I think he plays really dirty.
Well, I have to agree with you. Totally agree. I just don't get it at all whatsoever, sort of thing. 4 right backs. Wow. It's 3 right backs now because Trent is out injured, so he won't be playing in the Euros as well. So it's 3 backs, but don't be surprised if he picks another right back sort of thing, you know what I mean? But if you're also right back, Jacob Murphy, maybe? I doubt it.
Well, you know what? You never know. The way he's improving, he could, maybe, you never know. I'd love to see him get a chance, but realistically, the Newcastle players aren't probably good enough to get a chance, but I think Cardolo definitely should have been in that squad. He was really, really good.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe it's the third key pass sort of thing. That would have been good enough. But listen, you're right. I mean, I totally agree. He should have been in there. But, you know, Gareth Southgate will not pick any person from Newcastle United. It's a shame. I don't know if there's this player, Holly, called Tomori. He was at Chelsea.
Yeah.
He was playing at Derby. Now, he plays at AC Milan now. They've got him for £28 million. He's on loan. Watch out for this guy. He's English, and he's the first team at AC Milan. Why on earth that the English clubs did not get this guy? This guy is absolutely, he's a real deal. You know, watch Italian football. He's a real deal for Milan, and he is absolutely fantastic. I'll pick him. Gareth Southgate's got one chance left to pick someone. Pick this guy because he is outstanding. Pick him now. Get him in the squad, and this guy is the real deal. How can you not pick him? Milan's best defender. By a countryman well said, geez, you're absolutely right. The Germans always show up, don't they? They didn't show up in the last competition, did they? They got beat off South Korea. Very poor, very poor. And they got beat off North Macedonia as well, by the way. Let's be real. Come on, Scotland. Can't say that much, but I've got this. I've got Chris. Hi, John Holly. Hi, Chris to you. Hope you're okay. Please subscribe to my channel if you already done so. And she said he's fantastic. I went mad when he wasn't included. Pace athlete, reads the game brilliantly. I could watch this guy all day long. If we get a takeover sort of thing, right? The big if, and you look for the defender, I'll pay double the money they pay him for and get this guy back in the Premier League. He is absolutely awesome. I don't know if you watched him, but it's a tough one. So yeah, just gonna say I'm gonna wrap up very soon. What needs to be changed next season, Holly?
Well, a lot needs to be changed. It's not probably, you couldn't pinpoint one thing that needs to be changed. I think there's a lot. I think the management, of course, that needs to be changed. It probably won't be because of the takeover situation. We definitely need to sign at least one, but preferably two decent midfielders. We really need to strengthen there. I'd probably look for another centre back. And a left back, definitely. We can probably manage it right back. And I think oh my God, this is the biggest priority for me. Got to be a second striker as a backup for Wilson. I mean, when Wilson got injured this season, we just fell apart. We had no one that could score goals, and that is so, so worrying. For me, I'd probably go for Danny Ings. I think that would be a good number 2 striker for Newcastle. But we definitely need a new striker, 100%. And of course, just an answer to this takeover. I think that's the biggest thing, because even if it doesn't end up happening and it falls through, we just need to know, so we know where to stand, because we've been in limbo for like over a year now, and it's not healthy for the club. It's not good for anyone concerned. We just need this case to be done and dusted and out the way so we can move on.
You missed something as well, Holly. The players as well.
Well,
the players, that's part as well, but
we need to get rid of a few players, definitely. I think there's an extensive list you could probably get rid of, but Fernandes and Murphy, I'd definitely be trying to get them both on a new deal, and I'd like Lejeune to come back as well, because I think Lejeune's really good. I know that he was plagued with injuries for us, but he's played a full season out on loan, and he's been like one of their star players, so I'd certainly be getting him straight back into the side. I think, honestly, I think he's one of the best centre-backs at the club.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you've got ball player centre-backs at the club. We've got Fabian Schär is a ball player centre-back, plays out from the back as well. We've got Lejeune, he can play out from the back as well. That's 2, yeah? Federico Fernandes, he can play out from the back as well, but he could be on his way. I wouldn't shed a tear too much if Kieran Clark went as well, sort of thing, because I don't think he'd be playing first team next season, Kieran Clark. I like him, but I just do not think he's going to be playing much next season. So Celtic, maybe he can go off for £2 million for Celtic. I think they can do him as a defender. I think he can do fantastic in Glasgow. No problems at all. But I've got Sammy as well. What needs to be changed? Increase the transfer budget to at least 50 million. At least 50 million. I'm afraid that ain't going to happen. Don't you think, Holly? I don't think it's going to happen.
Nah, I think if we spend any money on players, it'll be maybe 1 or 2 £5 million players, and that will be the absolute maximum. We won't get any more than that, and a few quid for loan deals and stuff. But 50 million, no chance.
When you think about it, right, you've got Leeds United's got a £50 million budget, right? No, £75 million budget. Burnley have got a £100 million budget, yeah? Brentford, anything up to 50, yeah? Norwich, probably about 30, yeah? Watford, about 50, 60 million pounds. Is that a slap in the face for Newcastle United?
Yeah, we're bigger than all of those clubs, and we've also been a more consistent Premier League club for more years. We make a lot more money, and Mike Ashley is a much richer owner, but we're not surprised by it. I mean, it's every year under his ownership, we don't get the financial backing. And I think now that he doesn't want the club anymore, we're even less likely to get that. He invested a little bit last summer, and I think this year he won't want to do the same. And I think the fact that he did invest last summer and Steve Bruce still almost got us relegated, he'll be thinking, well, honestly, what's the point in putting the money in? But you just, in an ideal world, you'd want all this to be sorted before the new season starts so we can recruit players and we actually have some money. But I think we all know it's probably going to roll on into the beginning of the new season, which is really, really unfortunate. And hopefully it happens before Christmas because we need to recruit someone in January. I mean, this squad's just not good enough. We've got practically the same squad as what we had in the Championship in 2016-17, and that is just so embarrassing. The amount of money that we'll be making, even off like TV rights and ticket sales, we could have had practically a whole new squad by now, but we just don't spend that money. Instead, we spend it on putting new Sports Direct signs up around St James's Park. It's a joke.
I know. When you want to sell a club, the last thing you want to do is put Sports Direct signs around the stadium as well. If you're going to sell the club, that'd be so damn embarrassing. Sorry, ain't good enough. No one accept it. But there you go. I got Terry Gain, agree with Holly regarding the striker. Also attack a mid if we don't get Willock. As Hayden is a cracking CDM for me. Well, DFM, CDM would be badass sort of thing. But I'll come to Isaac in just a quick second as well. I mean, I've got Paul as well, and John Holly. You're a bit late, Paul, are you? You've been on for how are you now, man? He likes to be Carol Paul, doesn't he? You know what I mean? But bless him. I've got Sammy as well. Newcastle will be getting me to join the squad. I am free, I'm sure. Just put a form in, Sammy. Put a form in. You never know. Then I always go Morgan Joe Linton. And I've got Dennis as well, agreed. Squad has not been refreshed. And I've been saying that the squad needs to be refreshed. Season in, season out, because we've still got the same players from 2015, 2016. I want to see that change as well. I doubt it very, very much. But at the end of the day, go back to Isaac Hayden. It'd be great to see him back. I don't think he'll be back until, is it next year?
I don't know how long he's out for.
He's definitely out for the end of the season and all that. But
yeah.
I just hope.
I just hope in the summer since we've got a break.
Yeah, man. I think when's it going to be out? You see, these clubs just don't tell you anything, do they? Don't tell us now how long it's going to be out for. You know what I mean? That's another thing. I want to see that the club communicate with the fans more. You know, injuries as well. We need to know like injuries, the press conferences. I want to see everything. Do you know what I mean? But they just keep it a secret, Holly, all the time, and that's what we need. That needs to change as well.
It does. Yeah, again, that's another kind of Mike Ashley thing. Nothing's ever put into the fans like knowledge. Like we're completely excluded from everything that's happening at the club. I mean, it's the same with the arbitration case. We have no clue what's going on. I know it's a confidential process, but the club could at least have the decency to give us a timeline of, you know, when the case is happening, when the arbitration's starting, all that kind of stuff. Of course, none of us really have much of a clue because we're not a legal expert, but I think we should at least have dates and times of what's going to happen because we're having to Google and do guesswork and it's just not on really. The club should just be stating what's going on and when it's going on, and we don't even know like about players' injuries, and you don't see that happening at other clubs. Honestly, it's just not good enough.
Not at all, because it's cheating the fans, it's cheating the season ticket holders as well, it's cheating everyone as well connected to the club. And I think we as fans deserve better than that. They're just not communicating with the fans, and that ain't good enough. I'm sorry, it is not. You're right there. Got Paul, just finished work. Sorry, mate, I'll let you off this time. You got to earn some money, yeah? Yes, there you go. So, I mean, what I was going to say before you wrap up, I've got Terry as well. Yeah, it was back in like training before season finished. Club definitely needs to speak more to the fans. Sorry, should be CDM, as you said, John. Thank you very much indeed. But he is right. I want to see big changes at the club, starting with Boost sort of thing. Also, Isaac Hayden, if he does play, we all know he's a decent player, yeah. But I want to see Isaac Hayden, showcase his skills and what he is against bigger teams, because he doesn't quite do it against bigger teams. He does against Leicester teams, but he doesn't do it against bigger teams normally. I want to give Isaac Hayden a 9, 10 out of 10 for a great performance against the bigger teams, you know what I mean? But that'll come because he's a decent player. You like him, don't you, Holly? You like Isaac Hayden.
Yeah, I love Isaac Hayden. I think he's a very good professional. He always puts in 100% effort, and he's a reliable player. He's been a big miss in the side, and I'll be so grateful when we get him back in, because relying on the likes of Hendrick and Shelby's just been appalling. I think it hasn't been pleasant for anyone to watch that kind of play in the midfield. But in terms of the squad, of course, constantly under Mike Ashley, we've seen quite a young squad, because Mike actually likes to buy young players so he can sell them on for a bigger value. But because we've hardly recruited any new players for years, and we've got the same team that we played in the championship with, the squad's now quite old. And I think you can tell a lot of the time. You see the players on the pitch and they're not the players they were a couple of years ago. They look very tired and lethargic and just like they're ready to kind of step down a bit. It's like too high intensity of play for them. I think it's really, really showing now, and we need to bring some youth back into that side. Just like, I think that average age of our squad now must be in their 30s, which like for a Premier League team, it's just not really what you'd want. Maybe like a mid-table championship team, but I think we really, really need to cut out ties with some of these old players that have been great servants of the club now, but it's time for them to move on, and we need a refresh, like you said.
Yeah, definitely. I could know about 11 of them as well. I mean, I've done the Keep and Sell channel. I think it's last week. I've done the Keep and Sell channel. Check out for that. And I tell you, I keep, I tell you, I sell, right? Get rid and make some money. I reckon the ones I want out, I can make about 86 to 90 million pounds selling those players. And that 90 million pound would be ideal to buy the new player sort of thing as well. But they're not going to do that because, listen, the club ain't good enough. I mean, it's just set us just an absolute joke. Honestly, it's a mess, But I'm 35. I can still do 35 press ups without stopping. Just saying, well done to you. But just quick on Henri Savert and Christian Atsu. Atsu first. I mean, he was classy when he left. He did a classy open letter to the fans. I mean, I wish the guy well. I do like Christian Atsu, but he was not a Premiership player, I'm afraid. But listen, I mean, he's a good player. I hope that he gets find a club in the Championship somewhere and help them out.
Definitely. I loved Christian Atsu. I think he was a lovely, lovely person. I think when he first joined us, he did really well. He served the purpose that we needed him to serve. And now it's time for him to move on, because he's just not good enough for the level that we're at now. But I think he could definitely get a good role at a club in the top half of the Championship, and I think he'd do well for them. I wish him the best, and that letter to the fans, it was really nice, and I think he's a player that will be respected by fans. Yes, he's not an absolute world beater, but I think he did always try as well.
Yeah, I do like him as well, and he does his best sort of thing. Like, he's got attributes to be a top winger, but his finishing as well sometimes just flies over the bar, and that can be a bit frustrating. But I do like Christian Atsu. I've got no bad thing to say about him. Henri Savert milked the club. 32 grand a week, he actually milked the club. You know what? His agent was said, do you know what? Sit tight. Just keep making 32 grand a week. Sit tight till the contract ends. He'd be going back to fans sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? He'd be back to fans. He's out of the club in a minute. And yeah, I wish him the best of luck as well. And I've got Sam as well. We should not sell Aaron Armstrong, Ivan Toney. Many academy players leave the club who have full potential. He is right.
Yeah, fully agree with that. I think we've done that for years, even before the Mike Ashley era. Of course, we had Shearer in the academy. We played him as a goalkeeper, and then we released him because he wasn't good enough, and then had to pay 15 million to bring him back. So I think it's a pattern that the club's constantly followed. I think we need to sort out kind of like the scouts and the youth team coaches, because clearly they're not really good enough to do their job. And the likes of Armstrong and Toney, they haven't proved it in the Prem yet, so they might not be good. But they should have had a chance. I mean, they didn't even get a look in, did they really? And it's the same now. At the end of the season, we knew we were safe, and yet we still weren't giving the youngsters even a spot on the bench. I think the club just they really don't rely on youth. And I think that's because Mike Ashley never wanted to invest in that because he didn't see it as like a priority. But in the long term, it would have saved him money, because if we were bringing through homegrown players, we wouldn't have to be paying the likes of 25 million, 20 million to bring in, decent players, because we would have brought them through the academy and it would have cost us virtually nothing except wages. So it's not very smart from Mike Ashley, but I completely agree with some of you there. The youth situation's just a joke.
I totally agree. I think our youth academy is an absolute joy. I'd just get rid of them, bring in fresh new ones, exactly what they're doing, sort of thing. The ones we've got have just been stale. Honestly, they have. I'm sorry, but I think Ben Dawson's a lovely lad, but for me, I just don't. They need to move on. They need to move on because it's just not good enough. Really, it's not. And got Michael Carrick as well. He used to be at Wales End Youth Club as well. He used to be with us as well, and he went to West Ham, did he? Sort of thing. So we have some good players there, and it's just let go. But sad. Before I let you go, Holly, right? I mean, if the takeover does happen, right, and Steve Bruce gets the sack, I'll let you think of that one as well. Just a quick one. So Peter Beardsley not signed until he had played for Caroline Vancouver. What a magnificent player he was at the time. Wow. Do a player like a Bruce, yeah. Totally agree. Who I know the answer is going to be, but who would you have as manager with the takeover? There's only one answer.
As soon as you said, I know the answer, then yeah, I knew the question before you even got your words out. Got to be the absolute love of my life, Rafa Benitez. I absolutely adore him, man. I think in my whole time supporting Newcastle, because I've never seen like the glory years, I've just kind of been around in the Mike Ashley era. The Rafa Benitez era was my favourite, and it was just because as soon as he walked through the door, he brought a unity and a sense of hope that we'd never had before, and we really thought we could challenge, and we've never been given that type of confidence before because we've always been belittled as supporters. I mean, Steve Bruce is a prime example of this. He's always saying about how expectations are too high and we're only Newcastle United, and it's like, no, we're not only Newcastle United, we are Newcastle United, and we're one of the greatest clubs in the world, and don't let anyone tell us anything different. And Rafa Benitez had that same attitude, and to bring him back would be perfect because not only is he just amazing all round, but he also knows the core of the squad, so he'd know what type of players to bring in to build around this squad, because we've got to remember, we're not just going to go out and sign all the world-class, your Messi, your Ronaldo, your Mbappe straight away, because that's just silly. We need to keep the core of the team the same and build around that, and Rafa Benitez would know what to do. And his recruitment's always been absolutely spot on because we got some brilliant bargains under Benitez. So, yeah, easy answer for me. Went on a bit of a rant, but we all know how much I love Rafa Benitez, so...
Yeah, do you know what it is? At the end of the day, I'd take Rafa Benitez. He'd be my first choice. But if we don't get him, right, if he's elsewhere, right, and we get someone else, for me, this is going to be a surprise to a lot of people. I'll go for Diego Simeone. He's my manager. Let's come Madrid. This guy is an absolute winner. He's got passion. He plays a 4-4-2. He sets the back. The football ain't going to be pretty, by the way. But at the end of the day, the guy is a winner. He's just won La Liga, by the way. This guy is destined for the very, very top. He's been at Atletico Madrid for about 10, 11 seasons now. And wow. So, yeah, if it's not Rafa Benitez, Diego Simeone, anytime, all day long.
Second choice for me would probably be Pochettino. I know there's rumours that he's in talks with Spurs, but if he didn't go to Spurs, then I think he would be a really good second choice behind Rafa Benitez, because I think he's another manager that can really build a club. I mean, he did that with Spurs, and he got them from kind of like a lower top half team to the Champions League final. I think he did really well with Spurs. It was really harsh that he got sacked, and I think he'd be a good appointment for Newcastle.
Definitely, but he need a project. That's the thing. If you're going to come to Newcastle, he'll need a project. And also, he wants to spend big as well, so he can just have the team ready, challenging. That's what he wants. But yeah, it'd be a good appointment as well. So Antonio Conte, maybe as well. But I got Chris as well. Thoughts on Andy leaving us? Holly, what do you think of Andy leaving us? Do you think it's time for him to go? I think so.
Sadly, yes. I do like Andy Carroll, and I was really happy when we brought him in. I think it was a bit of a PR stunt, but I don't think he left in the best way, because I think that Bruce obviously made the decision to bring him to the club, and then he extended his deal for a year. And I think there's multiple times in the season where Carroll could have had a chance, and I think he would have done a lot better than the striker that was playing at that time. For example, like I mentioned earlier on, the Sheffield United game, I know he came on eventually, but he should have brought him on straight away when Dwight Gale came on, because he would have had a much bigger impact, and he was a local player that would have had that same fight, and he would have done everything he could to keep us up that season. And I think it was a bit harsh the way Bruce didn't play him, and I don't think he's left in the best way. But unfortunately, I think it is time for him to move on now, and I think that he's been a great servant at the club. I wish him the absolute best, but he's just, you know what, I think he could have made it next season. I think he could have still been a good player to have on the bench, but under Bruce, I wouldn't have kept him on, because Bruce clearly doesn't have any intentions of playing him, and it's not one of his favourite players. So at least we got rid of him, free up some space, and get some wages off the books.
Yeah, fair enough. I wish Andy Carroll all the best in the world, sort of thing. I hope he goes to Bristol City. We may go to West Brom by the looks of it. Whoever gets him in the Championship will be absolutely fantastic. I wish him well. And just going to wrap this up very, very quickly. Give Rafa the job. Then, when the systems are set, move upstairs and keep moving smoothly through the years. That's a good point there. That's a brilliant point. Get him upstairs, get a younger manager in, sort of thing, and just have to smooth operator sort of thing. Would you do that?
Yeah, I think on the board, Rafa Benitez would be a great person to have, just because of the connections he's got as well. He's got connections in all different countries, all different leagues, and there's lots of players that he could have a word with to try and get them to Newcastle. And of course, he just loves the club. So I think, yeah, he'd be a great addition to the board if he wasn't to obviously manage us. He is getting on, so he will be looking to retire as well.
Yeah. Director of football, maybe? I think it was director of football all day long.
Definitely. I know a lot of people give the shout for Kevin. I can't get the words out. Kevin Keegan, which of course everyone would love that. We'd love to see Kevin Keegan back at the club in some sort of role. But I think he's like over 70 now, and I'm not sure if he'd want to. You never know though. Keegan absolutely loves Newcastle, and he probably would. But if not Keegan, yeah, I think Rafa Benitez would be great as director of football.
I think it'd be absolutely amazing. Talking about that sort of thing, we're going to end up that with Rafa Benitez, because he's a great guy. I love the guy. And yeah, I mean, we've gone through Alan Quartas sort of thing, you know. Porky's having a go at us saying that I'll do 3,000 streams a day. King, what do they call us? King of the streams. King of the streams.
Keep it up, though. Channel's growing really well.
Thank you very much. I've got 705 at the minute, sort of thing. So I want that number keep going northwards. And I'm not bothered at Insta that much, but if I do get some more on Insta, that's cool. Facebook, I look at that sometimes. Well, mainly on Twitter. I've got nearly 12,000 followers on Twitter as well, by the way, which I think is amazing. And keep that number goes up as well. Just a quick one there. Dunil said, I think I read it as well, that Posh gives youth a chance. And one more from Terry. Great show. Cheers, John and Holly. Thank you very much for joining, Terry, as well. Holly, I had to ask you this question. I always, you know the question I'm going to ask. Did you enjoy coming on?
Yeah, it's definitely been a while, but I've got a long summer off now, so hopefully I'll be back on again sometime soon.
Fantastic. I sound like Laura Woods, don't I? She always asks on TalkSport, do you enjoy coming on? Andrews Townsend and others as well, you know. But there you go. Great show. Thanks to John Holly. Thanks to you for joining Sammy as well, my guy. And make sure you come back again. And listen, thanks for coming on, guys. Do smash the likes up and subscribe if you're new, and follow Holly as well. Holly, what do you got coming on your show in the next couple of years?
So on Monday we have the first episode of the Stephen Holly Show on NUFC Matters, which is going to be really good. I'm looking forward to it, and I think we'll be having guests on now and then, but make sure you give that a watch. I'm not sure of the time yet. I think it might be 6 o'clock, but check my Twitter because I'll keep you updated. But definitely looking forward to that. We'll be talking all things Newcastle and the Euros as well, since the season has ended. So if anyone's got any questions, feel free to tweet them for the show or join us on the live chat.
Yeah, do you know what? I'll probably be watching that for the first hour or so, sort of thing, and then I'll be on the Horseman Show with Paul and Bazza and Paul, Bazza and PD Padlock as well. On Tuesday, I'm with Claire Williams. I hope she comes on this time, talking about Manchester United review. Tomorrow, I'm going to do my team player of the season as well, which I should have done a couple of days ago, but I'm going to do that. That should be fun and games. Keep your eyes peeled for that. And like I said, please smash the likes up, subscribe if you're new, and follow Holly on the Twitter account as well. And I've got Paul Grace Dreams, John Nasty, Holly. And thank you very much indeed. And Holly, you got to come back on again soon. And I know it's been a while, you're right. But, I've missed you. I mean, miss your voice. And you're always a star of me sort of thing. And yeah, like I said, thanks so much for coming on. And, make sure you come on again. And are you going on to Albert's channel as well? The Arsenal fan for the Euros as well. You got to do a preview, haven't you?
Yeah, we're doing the 15 minutes for the Euros. I can't remember the date, but you know it, John, because you're on it as well, aren't you?
I am. Same time as you. And, he's an Arsenal fan. I've been on his channel. He's a great lad. If Ryan Williams comes on as well, he's a great lad as well. He's he's got a fantastic channel. And there's Albert as well, LLT, I think it's ADT, whatever sort of thing. But I will retweet that sort of thing. He's a great guy. And he'll make it comfortable. He'll definitely make it comfortable, Holly. He's a fantastic guy. I love him. He's a great bro. And he's a big Arsenal fan.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It'll be good. It's nice to do some Euros content as well, because it gets a bit boring talking about the depressing side of Newcastle all the time. So nice distraction with a bit of England for a change.
Definitely talk about other things as well, like England, the players, the latest news, that sort of thing, Gareth and all the players as well. And I'll go do a live stream as well for that game as well, and which I think would be fantastic. And I can't wait for that. And maybe do an Italy game as well if they get to the quarter semis and the final as well. So yeah, do that as well. And listen, Holly, I could chat to you till 10 o'clock. I need to know that. Yeah, I could chat till 10. I'll probably get round for it. And my mum's wants her tea as well. She's gonna have fish and chips tonight, so I've got to pop there as well, have some fish and chips. Yay!
Hope you enjoy them.
Thank you very much indeed. Holly, thanks for coming on, and you'd be a great sport. We love you lots, and make sure you come back on the game, babe.
I will do. Thanks for having us on again, John.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
Ta. That's the lovely Holly as always. And like I said, she's welcome to come back again. Do follow on her Twitter account, HollyBlades05. I'm going to get myself away, but watch a few other videos. Like I said earlier, I'm back tomorrow. I'm going to do my team play of the season for the Premier League, and I'm back on the Horseman Show on Monday night between 8 and 10 o'clock. Tuesday with Claire Williams, Man U for Manchester United season review, and also do other projects as well. So please check us out for that. And thanks for joining. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for watching the show, and have a lovely evening.